All right, how we doing, guys? We are taking a look here at um, some of your questions on 9-7. All right. Um, Thanks to those of you who came to class. Uh, class. I enjoyed it. I hope you guys did as well. Hope it helped. And I hope it works for those of you that are just looking at the recording. I think that's something I'm going to continue to do. Let me know your thoughts on that. I'm more than willing to change with with what's working and what's not working. So, but let's take a look at 9-7, specifically question 30, which some of you have had some questions on. So let's take a look at that and work our way through that. So we're asked to solve this equation here. Um, and so I look at it, it's already equal to zero for me. That's a good thing. All right. So as I start comparing it to the two things we looked at, is this a difference of two squares? Is this a subtraction problem involving two perfect squares? Well, it's not that because I've got three terms. All right. It can't be a difference of two squares if I've got three terms. So the other the other thing to look at here is this that perfect square trinomial that we talked about on the back of the notes. So the first thing I look, is my first term a perfect square? Is there something I can multiply by itself to give me negative 2h squared? And there's not. I can't do anything. So then I got to take a step back and take another look at this. And here's, I've talked about this a couple times, and hopefully you guys are picking up on this because I think this can really be beneficial to you as we move forward. I've got again four terms if I count the zero on the right hand side there, and all of those are divisible by 2. All right, and I'm going to take that a step further because I like my squared thing to be positive, and so I'm going to divide everything by negative 2. All right. Um, so if I divide everything by negative 2, and that's perfectly okay. I can divide everything of an equation by the same thing as long as it's not 0. All right, I'm not allowed to divide by 0 because that's not defined mathematically. But any other number I can divide the whole equation by, and I'm not changing anything. So if I divide this thing by 2 or by negative 2, negative 2h squared divided by negative 2 will give me 1h squared. Again, I'm reading this as excuse me, I'm reading this as a negative 28. Negative 28h divided by negative 2. A negative divided by a negative is a positive, and that'd be positive 14h. And then same thing here, I'm reading this as a negative 98, if it makes you feel better, cha-ching it. And so negative 98 divided by negative 2, a negative divided by a negative is again a positive, and 98 divided by 2 is 49, and then 0 divided by negative 2 is 0. All right. So now I take another look at it, and okay, still not a difference of two squares because I still got three terms. But is this that perfect square trinomial? Is my first term a perfect square? Yeah, it is. H squared is h times h, right? And 49, I go to my third term. Is that a perfect square? Yeah, that's 7 times 7. And if I multiply 7 by h, that's 7h, and double it, I get 14h. All right, so this is one of those h plus 7 and h plus 7. Again, let me point this out. You don't need to use this shortcut. With our process from before will work. If I've got an h squared, that has to be h and h, and then factors of 49 that add up to 14 are 7 and 7. All right, this shortcut is just something that might save you a little bit of time. But regardless, I've got it factored now. I've got it written as a multiplication problem, and it's equal to 0. If I've got two things that are multiplied and they're equal to 0, then one of those two things has to be 0. So either h plus 7 equals 0, and if you want to, you could write it again, but there's no sense in solving the same equation twice. So I subtract 7, I get a solution here of h equals negative 7. Okay. And if I plug that in, it should work. Let's just do that real quick. I got nothing but time. So if I put in negative 2, putting in negative 7 in for h, negative 7 squared, because I do my exponent first. Negative 7 squared is positive 49 times negative 2. That would be negative 98 minus 28 times 7. I can't do that in my head. So 28 times negative 7 is negative 196. All right. So that's minus negative 196. And then again, it was minus 98. So if I do negative 98, that would be like plus positive. Negative 98 plus 196, I think, is 98. Minus 98, it does equal 0. So negative 7 does make that equation true. All right. So a couple key things on this. First of all, recognizing that, again, if you've got an equation and they're all divisible by the same thing, go ahead and do it as long as it's not 0. You can divide by any number you want, and you get some smaller numbers to work with. The other thing is divide by that negative if you need to, because it's a lot easier if h squared is positive. All right, it's just a lot easier to factor. So get it factored, use the zero product property, solution of h equals negative 7. All right, so this was number 30 on 9-7. Hope that helps. Take care, guys.